Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. It's wonderful to have you along for the ride. Straight up dealer time today, getting started the live show super late, 6:47 today. Miss Scoozy, but I come bearing good news that if you were diligent, if you did your work yesterday, if you did your sleuthing, your detective work, you would know that things are trending in the right direction for the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts playing on Sunday at 4:30 against the Green Bay Packers. We have Kellen Moore talking about talking to Jalen Hurts. So there's that. And then we have the Eagles releasing a quarterback, ladies and gentlemen, that they signed when Jalen Hurts went down. So follow the bouncing ball. I love when the Eagles put these things out here, these giant posts that say, roster move. And at the top of it, it just goes, oh, they've waived the Ian Book. Oh, okay. Well, they waived the Ian Book. So this has got to be everything trending in the right direction to Jalen Hurts playing. We'll get into that. There's another team now that is interested in Kellen Moore as their next head coach, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Jerry Jones saying, no, you don't get to talk to Mike McCarthy. I don't know why I find this so funny, but I find it hilarious. It's like, because if Jerry Jones doesn't extend Mike McCarthy, well, then he's just a jerk, is what he is. No, Bears, you cannot talk to Mike McCarthy. I always assume that these things go down as follows. Where I have a head coach, he's still my head coach, I still have exclusive rights to negotiate with him. And I would imagine that if somebody was asking for permission to speak to him, like the Chicago Bears were with Mike McCarthy, you would talk to Mike McCarthy and be like, look, do you still want to be here? Cool. Then no, you can't go talk to the Bears, and the Bears can't talk to you. So let's work out a deal. I would assume that's how it would work. But I wouldn't put it past Jerry Jones to just say, why are they asking to speak to him? I still have an exclusive rights to negotiate with him. And at the same time, have exclusive thoughts of, do I even want him back? So I don't know how these things work specifically, but I would imagine that's how they would work. But with Jerry Jones, you never know. You never know when spite might play its way into things. The guy did get rid of a head coach that won him 2 Super Bowls, but whatever. That still haunts. Oh, that still haunts. So, and which, by the way, I'm glad about. So, we'll get in that conversation, and it's the now the Saints, and now the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are interested in Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore got asked an interesting question, and in a year where we've really tried to pin down what it is that Nick Sirianni does. What is it you say you do here? That whole thing. Kellen Moore offered something that actually had to do with the game plan. He started talking a little bit about, hey, so the question was, hey, so after being here in Philadelphia for a season, what are you going to take away from this experience? And he went on to speak glowingly about Nick Sirianni, and not just his message, but actually things that involve the game plan. So there you go. We'll get into that. And then Vic Fangio yesterday said, for all current and future coaches, and maybe even former coaches that will be coaches again one day, Vic Fangio summed up what it means to be a coach. He summed it up in like 10 seconds yesterday. And this guy has done such a great job. He's very efficient with his words. And what this guy had to say about, Cooper DeJean and Quentin Mitchell, and then what he had to say about not putting limitations on a guy like Zach Baun, who is now a Pro Bowler, is exactly what you want to hear from a coach. Like, I think a lot of times we get, rightfully so, I don't want to say caught up in, but we understand that there's a certain politicking that goes on when it comes to players playing. It's not always the best players playing, unfortunately. It's not always that. A lot of times it's the politics that surround it. This guy's a first-round pick. Or this guy was picked before this guy. Or we spent so much money in free agency on this guy. Oh, but he's not working out. Like, if Vic Fangio was here in 2011, Nnamdi Asomugha would not have played. That's what he's talking about when he made the comments about Zach Baun and not putting limits on players. What he had to say summed up what a good coach should be doing every single time they go about their business. So we'll let you hear that. Hey, the 76ers, they're a basketball team that play in Philadelphia, right? And Joel Embiid and Paul George are not going to be playing tonight against the hapless Washington Wizards. So I just hope that the Sixers are not as hapless as them. Paul George has got a groin strain, so we'll see what happens in the not too distant future there. And Joel Embiid is still dealing with that left foot sprain. So that's where that's where we're at in that department. And hey, the Flyers ruffled last night, 3-2 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But Travis Konechny, a couple of goals on the night for him. Nice to see that. 18 now in the season? Not too bad there, TK. Not too bad at all. So let's get into it. We got so much to get into. Let's start it up with, first off, let's just give you a little Vic Fangio. Yeah, that's how we like to start things off. You know what I'm saying? All right. Let's get to, before we get to Vic, Kellen Moore. So you have you have Nick Sirianni. Mum is the word on Jalen Hurts. So now, very rarely, we have the experience of a coordinator breaking a little bit of news. So let's go back. Nick Sirianni wouldn't even say whether or not Jalen Hurts has been in the building. He's already acknowledged that he was in the building when he was asked point blank about Jalen being at walkthrough on Friday. And he's like, yeah, he was in the building. But then he wouldn't even say if he's talked to him. He wouldn't say if he's been in the building since then. He wouldn't say anything about progressing through protocol. So Kellen Moore, and I have the end of the first question, of the answer in this, because I want you to hear Jeff McClain ask the question. And the question is, have you spoken to Jalen Hurts about week 1 of the postseason, the first round of the postseason, about game plan for that?
And so we'll just see where it takes us for this week as well.
Communicate with Jalen today about the game.
Yeah, certainly we've all of us have been in continuous conversations. We always are, and so excited about that.
All of us have been in communication. Okay, so that's nice. That was the first I let me write that down. They actually have talked to Jalen Hurts. Oh, okay, this is breaking news. All right, that makes you feel good. And then later in the day, we get this post about Ian Book being released, who, of course, was signed when they figured out that both Kenny Pickett and Jalen Hurts were going to be going in the game to wrap up the season. So Ian Book came aboard. Fascinating. This means things are trending in the right direction. Now, I didn't check this morning, but I checked as recent as last night. The line is still 4.5. I'm going to go ahead and see if just around the time this afternoon that the Eagles release their walkthrough estimation participants, that if Jalen Hurts' name is on that without the word concussion next to it, that line's going to jump up a little bit. The last I checked, it was still 4.5, and I'll check again. Now, while I'm talking about, so this is obviously fantastic news that Jalen Hurts and everything is trending in the right direction. It gives me the warm and fuzzies that I've been waiting for. So hopefully today is the day we see his name on the injury report, and it just says left finger injury in the practice report. So that's good. Now, the other thing that came out yesterday was that the Jacksonville Jaguars have now joined the New Orleans Saints in wanting to talk to Kellen Moore for their head coaching vacancy after Eagles Super Bowl winning coach Doug Peterson has been relieved of his duties. So Kellen Moore was asked about that yesterday, and he said everything you would expect him to say. Hey, how are you handling the prospective interviews with other teams? Like, my focus is the Green Bay Packers. My focus is the Philadelphia Eagles. While I'm here, every time a coach around this time of season, around this time of year, a coach is asked these same questions. Any coach of note, any coordinator of note, hey, how you dealing with the idea that you're going to be getting ready for the Packers and you also have these interviews possibly coming up here? Oh, my focus is this. I'm not going to be distracted. My focus is this. Two things. One, I don't know how the NFL still operates this way. This is so unbelievably ludicrous. Whether it's the Jonathan Gannon situation with the Philadelphia Eagles at the Super Bowl or whatever, I don't get how the NFL continues to operate like this, where coaches that are supposed to be getting ready for postseason play and to see the ball into the mitt about how great a season you've had, how they're, oh, no, I got to run over and do this interview real quick, but I'm not going to be distracted. I just got to fly to New Orleans. I just going to fly to Jacksonville. I just got to go over here. But I'm not going to be distracted. Oh, you're not going to be distracted about your dream sitting right over there. That's not distracting? Really? You have amazing focus like that where even though you're physically going to be in another place talking about another team and that team situation and how you'd grow that team and improve that team and be better than the guy that was coaching the team before you got there, even though you're doing all that, that's not going to take away from anything you're supposed to be focusing on right now. I got one thing to say to that. Ugh. That's a heaping pile of BS, babe. So that's one. Two, when it comes to this whole thing here with Kellen Moore is, Kellen is the definition of boring. Like Kellen's press conferences, I could sum up this entire year. Like, it really doesn't offer much. That's why the thing with Jalen Hurts was so surprising. But generally speaking, his press conferences are fit to be a head coach. He's got that ability to say things without saying anything. It's like, hey, the offensive line has done well. Well, I like our offensive line. These are really good players. They work really hard. We work hard with them, and I like everybody there. How's Jalen progressed? Oh, Jalen's progressed great. I mean, he really got back on track to doing the things that he does well and doing more of that and less of the things that he hasn't, he's struggled with. And then he gets back to the good things that he does well. And then we focus on that. What? Huh? That's the typical Kellen Moore press conference. So if he is going to be a head coach, he's got that part of the game down pat. But when it comes to learning from every stop you've been in, and as we go through life and all the experiences and all that, we pick up little things along the way, no matter what walk of life you're in. So for Kellen Moore, offensive coordinator, was there in Dallas, obviously was out there in Los Angeles with the Chargers, and now here in Philadelphia. He was asked what he is going to take away from his experience in Philadelphia. If he does end up going somewhere, what is something that he is going to take away from his experience here in Philly? And this is what he had to say.
Just been a great experience here. Obviously, working with Nick, I think what Nick does an excellent job of is leading this team from an emotional and element and leadership element, but also just the game management and how he manages the game, manages it throughout the week. Our situational football, as much time as we invest in that, he does an excellent job with it. And so it's been a really fun process for me.
Situational football? Game planning? Okay. Usually people just say, message. The message from Nick Sirianni. You should hear this guy's messages. Messages are amazing. Usually that's all you hear. And now, no, you hear game plan? All right. I will say, from what Nick told us at the end of the year to what's going on now and has been going on throughout the year, Nick has been a lot more involved than we had anticipated. And let's not forget, there was two things after that Falcons game, second game of the season, that were like holy pots and pans to me. One was Saquon catch the ball. The other was, let's not forget, Nick Sirianni after the game said Kellen Moore called a play. Called the play, excuse me, the play to Saquon that he dropped. You never hear that. Never. It's always the head coach being like, that was the decision we went to make, and it just it didn't work out. Our guy was open, and unfortunately, we didn't execute. Well, what went into the decision of making that play? Oh, Kellen made the call. Usually, it's on me. I gotta tell you, it's on me. And then, 2 weeks later, after the yelling at the fans BS after the Browns game, he's at the podium and he's up there with his kids and everything, and he's talking about the defense. He's like, I called a defense today. And then Vic Fangio that same week is like, he didn't call a defense. What? Like, what happened to that communication that he's supposed to be so great at? Nick Sirianni. What happened to that? And then you didn't really hear that again. You didn't hear anything about Kellen Moore again. You didn't hear anything about Vic Fangio again calling a defense. And the other part of it was you didn't hear, or excuse me, you would see in the Jaguars game him being a terrible decision maker when it came to situational football. Jaguars game was awful. Just unnecessarily going for it on fourth down, going for 2-point conversions, opening the door for a Jaguars comeback in the fourth quarter. That was just stupid. But then again, after those mistakes, you didn't see those mistakes again the rest of the year. So if you talk about a guy who's involved in the game plan and wants to go in with a certain idea, he'll try to execute that idea. And then if it doesn't work, he'll get away from it. Not in a negative sense, like we used to say about the run game all the time, where, oh, it's not working in the first half, so they're not going to use it in the second half, or it's not working in the first quarter, so they're not going to use it the rest of the game. No, he's not abandoning anything like that. But if a certain style or strategy that he is going into a game with, if it doesn't work and it's met with great pushback by an entire city or maybe even the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles and Jeffrey Lurie, he's going to get away from that. So if you're going to be a head coach somewhere else, you're going to take anything away from your experience with Nick Sirianni. I can understand why messaging would be a big part of that and how adjusting to what your previous idea was, to what your previous strategy was. I can understand why those would be two things. But when it comes to X's and O's and scheming guys open and overall offensive philosophy, I still don't get it. And this is a tougher code to crack as well, because Saquon Barkley changes everything. Like Jalen Hurts, for instance, has played 15 games in the season before. He's never had this few amount of pass attempts. Like it's like 80 pass attempts fewer than his previous 15 game season. So that's pretty interesting to me. But it also shows that if you have Saquon Barkley in your offense, you're going to use him. You're going to use him a lot. And then you also look at this game against the Giants with Tanner McKee as the starting quarterback. And one of the themes of yesterday's press conference with Kellen Moore was talking about how this Eagles offense ran more under center play action than ever. Now, it certainly makes sense to coach to what you have because you have Tanner McKee at quarterback and not Jalen Hurts. But I would love to see more of that with Jalen Hurts. Love to see it. And for whatever reason, we just don't. Can we get a couple of morsels of that? But as far as Kellen Moore goes, and the other side of that was 41 pass attempts for Tanner McKee. I understand you have Kenny Gainwell and Will Shipley as your running backs in that scenario. So I understand that. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit different. You might throw the football a little bit more. You won't be as heavy on the run, of course. But Kellen Moore talking about the messaging and Kellen Moore talking about situational football and game planning with Nick Sirianni. Okay, he's giving him some credit for something else other than what everyone gives him credit for, which is just being able to have a really, really good message. When it comes to good messages, two things jumped out at me from Vic Fangio's press conference. Excuse me. And the first thing just has to do with your cornerbacks. I'll look back on this year, and hopefully we can do this in 10 years, and Quentin Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are still balling for the Eagles, right? Howie Roseman, you think about Sidney Jones, you think about bringing in Nnamdi Asomugha to reference his name again, like just the complete busts that have come in here, whether free agent or draft. And there has just not been someone that has come in and helped you at a ridiculous rate. Like Jalen Mills was a good corner. I helped you win a Super Bowl. But like he wasn't the game changer or anything like that. So I look back on it, and to think about two picks in succession in this draft are at they're at a Pro Bowl level for you. When you talk about your nickel and Cooper DeJean, and you talk about one of your outside guys in Quentin Mitchell. Quentin Mitchell, a guy who last I checked was runner-up in the second best odds to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. And he didn't even get an interception his rookie year. The end of the Giants game was somewhat funny to me, considering now Sidney Brown's got more interceptions than Quentin Mitchell. One. But these two guys have brought it every single opportunity. Every single time they've been rolled out there on the football field, whether it be week 1 or week 5 with Cooper DeJean. Quentin Mitchell week 1, Cooper DeJean week 5 when he came out after the bye week. They have been as good as advertised. So yesterday, Vic Fangio was asked about what makes it What makes it so special? What has made them so special this year?
Yeah, they both did a good job. Obviously Coop was a little late starting because of his off-season injury. Both very happy with both of those guys. They've improved. They've been diligent in their approach. Their thirst to get better has been good. Everything's been good about them.
Maybe their running game's so effective.
Yeah. That's the important thing, is not resting on your laurels, not getting into the league. And a guy like Cooper DeJean realizing 5-6 weeks into his pro career, okay, I got this. And then getting overconfident. Hearing, what was it? Guantanamo Bay? What was it? Hearing all those types of things, it doesn't distract him. It doesn't make him soft. Doesn't allow him to take anything for granted. To keep on pushing. Same thing with Cooper DeJean. These guys have been, nothing but praised since getting into the NFL and stepping foot on the field for the first time. Nothing but praised. And they just keep getting better. Keep getting better and better. We referenced at the end of the year, Quinyon Mitchell allowed 2 touchdowns in his last 2 games. Cause for panic? Absolutely not. He set a pretty damn good bar for himself. And the minute he didn't get to it, was like, oh, okay. Well, he's human. Look at that. But I have zero doubt that he's going to get right back into it or bounce right back. It's a lot to bounce back from. Guys are going to allow touchdowns. I get it. But when you haven't seen it yet, it goes, oh, well, that's interesting. Every one of those, he has broken up. But yeah, it's just absolutely incredible year from both those players. And I have zero doubt they'll continue it into the postseason, what they were able to do throughout the regular season. And then this is the part that really is incredible to me. The Zach Baun season, finishing in a Pro Bowl year. Like when the Eagles added Zach Baun, like I'll be 100% honest. I'm like, okay, all right, this guy, fine. Let's bring another. Oh, he's going to try to be their linebacker. Here they go again. Here the Eagles go again, buying extremely low on a linebacker. They got Devin White. They got Nakobe Dean. Now this Zach Baun guy is going to come out of nowhere, and he's going to be something special. Boy, was he. I remember when he was getting a lot of mic time. He was getting a lot of camera time in training camp. I thought, oh wow, they might actually really like this guy. Go figure. And then here he is, as a Pro Bowler, after laughing at the clause in his contract that he signed with the Eagles about being a Pro Bowler. Like, yeah, okay, fat chance that happens. And where do I sign? Zach Berman of PHLY asked him the question yesterday asked Vic Fangio about expectations and whether or not he anticipated, that was the word, anticipated a Pro Bowl season from Zach Baun if he was put in the right place at the right time.
Well, it's hard to say that, going back to them, but I think you don't put any limits on players. If you put limits on them, you'll get limited production. Take them to the ceiling that they can go to.
If you put limits on players, you'll get limited production. Take them to the ceiling they can get to. For all future, current, and those that will coach again, that sums up coaching. Because what that in essence says is zero politics. Like if you see potential in a player, and you have to look at every player as if they have potential, and then recognize the ones that are already ascending, and you just let them go. You take the ceiling off of them. This guy, like in New Orleans, this guy could be a great special teamer. Okay, remove that ceiling. Let him see another ceiling. Okay. This guy could be a great edge rusher. Okay, let me remove that ceiling. Let me see what else he can do. Let me see him on the outside linebacker. All right, an outside linebacker. Let's see what he can do there. Like they stopped removing the ceiling. They stopped. They kept on putting limitations on him. And Vic Fangio looked at his skill set and went, even with Howie Roseman, special teamer, edge rusher, outside linebacker. This could be a new edge rusher, outside linebacker. And Vic Fangio looked at it and was like, how about inside linebacker? Inside linebacker? Yeah. Pro Bowl. So that got me thinking. And I'm going to enjoy the playoffs. Let's not get crazy here. And I don't like doing these things ahead of time, but being that his name is brought up so much, being that this was such an incredible buy low and now have this incredible season in front of you here, behind you now with Zach Baun, and hopefully it doesn't end until a Super Bowl parade. But what do they do with a guy that's making $3.5 million? This isn't going to be some cheap payday. And Zach Baun has put, I mean, talk about putting good things on film. He's got a whole season of it. When athletes have been when athletes have been more disappointments than they've been, flourishing stories. When athletes have been looked at like that, a lot of times they get this opportunity, as they should. And it's the opportunity they've been waiting their whole career for. It's the opportunity they've been waiting their whole life for. I use the famous quote from Jason Worth. I've been playing my whole life for this season before he signed that big deal with the Nationals. It's not unlike Zach Baun. Now, Jason Worth and other athletes have had injuries along the way, not necessarily just them being overlooked, like Zach Baun, for instance. But Zach Baun's the type of athlete that he's been playing his whole career for this season. I do not expect some kind of hometown discount. There might be a Fangio discount where if the Eagles get close to any other offer, he'll stay here, even if it's for a little bit less. I'm not invoking hometown discount. I'm invoking Fangio discount, where this is the guy that saw it in me before anybody else did. This is the guy that gave me the opportunity. I want to be here. Vic, if you're going to be here for a couple more years, I want to be here for a couple more years. And yesterday they did ask Vic Fangio if he wanted to be a head coach again somewhere else. He was like, no, I'm good. Just as I said he would yesterday when people were talking in the chat about, oh, what would you do with Vic Fangio? Would you put Vic Fangio? Would you put him anywhere else? Will he get interviewed by the Jaguars? Will he get interviewed by the Saints? This guy right now, Vic Fangio, has I don't mean this to at the beginning of the year, I said this as a negative. Like if things didn't work out, this guy just get a sweet retirement gig where he's in the city. He started his professional coaching career. He's close to his family. He's in the city that he grew up being a fan of their sports teams. Just hear him talk about the Phillies, for instance. I'll reference it again. He's close to a basket of chicken wings from the Palladium. Is this just a sweet retirement gig? What is this? And yeah, it's a sweet retirement gig that he's awesome at. And this guy, he has no desire to go back to the head coaching circle. What? Crazy? The hell would I want to do that right now? So I love all that. So I don't think he's going anywhere. So I think Zach Baun understands that. I think Zach Baun will want to stick around here too. But the Eagles, I don't think the Eagles have to be on point with every dollar. They got to be not even just in the same ballpark, not just in the same section. They got to be at least in the same row. Maybe just if the middle of the row is the best seat, they got to be somewhere in that row. I don't think they're going to offer the top dollar contract. I don't think we're going to see some historic linebacker number here from the Eagles. But I would really hate to see Zach Baun go. I do think it ends up other guys can get restructured. Howie's a wizard at doing this. If Vic Fangio says keep this guy, I think Howie Roseman says, yeah, okay, we'll keep this guy. Then you also have to consider Mekhi Becton. You have to consider the fact that you already have Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata. Their deals were just done. You also have big deals done with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and obviously your quarterback. So if Howie's really going to continue to flex that cap muscle that he has, this would be a great way to show it off. And I don't know of anyone else that would want to look at Zach Baun in another uniform after seeing him break out here in Philadelphia, thanks to the limitations that Vic Fangio not only didn't put on him, but the limitations he took away that other people, other coaches, other teams, the Saints, were placing on Zach Baun. It really is an incredible season, and I did not at all see this one coming. I thought the Eagles were going to be just flirting with a guy that maybe had something left in the tank. And Devin White, he got released. He went on to play only 31% of the snaps in Houston from after not getting on the field with the Eagles. And then I look at even Nakobe Dean was a third-round pick, for instance. You look at other players, like you look at the last two regular middle linebackers or inside linebackers for the Eagles. It was last year a cut and paste with Zach Cunningham. And remember at the end of last year, we're begging for Zach Cunningham to get on the field. That's where our lives had come to. Go before that, TJ Edwards, he goes elsewhere for not a huge deal, but certainly more than the Eagles were willing to pay after he turned himself into a pretty damn good middle linebacker. And even before that, Alex Singleton was leading the team and up there amongst the leaders in tackles in the NFL. And he goes out there to Denver to sign a very similar deal to TJ Edwards. That's a very similar deal that he signed with the Bears. And now you're going to let Zach Baun go? Let's not do that. Let's not do that, especially when he seems to fit the scheme and understand the assignment so well. I don't know what it's going to take, but I would imagine if Vic Fangio says, "Oh, this guy's not going anywhere. Let's not be crazy," then please and thank you, do not put him anywhere else but in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform. I don't say this for any type of shock value. But do you care about the 76ers? This is a legit question. Do you care about the Philadelphia 76ers? Like, I understand, yes, it's your team. You're going to care. It's always going to be the first one you check. And when it comes to if you didn't watch the game, how they do, you'll look it up the next day, whatever. But in terms of invoking passion, I get a major sense of apathy for the 76ers in the city right now. Like, I get this sense almost that I did at the end of Allen Iverson's run here in Philly. Like, at the end of Allen Iverson's run, like, Wells Fargo Center wasn't getting sold out anymore. I got the sense at the end of Allen Iverson's run that the city and the fan base had seen the movie before. They loved it. It's one of their favorite movies, but I don't feel like sitting down watching it right now. Like, the end of the story. I get the sense right now that there's hope with Tyrese Maxey and what he could do, certainly. But this team is only going to go as far as Joel Embiid takes this team. And when you play in the Olympics and then you're not ready for the regular season, that's a really bad look. When you have battled injuries every single year and not been at 100% for a number of reasons, all health related, in the postseason, that's also a really bad look. And then you go play the playoffs, and then you're playing the Olympics, and then you come in here and not ready for the season. Horrible look. He gets smacked in the face, has the nasal fracture. Then he has this left foot sprain, and now he's not playing, Joel Embiid. Paul George was your big offseason acquisition. He hyperextends his knee. I was okay with that because I actually saw it happen. It wasn't like some phantom injury that they're just talking about as a knee management. And now he's got a groin strain that's going to make him miss tonight's game. Don't get me wrong. Paul George has been extremely disappointing this year. Has not been this big missing piece, filling a huge void on the Sixers. I can see potential for that, but he too has to stay healthy. But I go back to the question, do you care about any of this? Or are you just in the back of your mind hoping for the best and just eagerly awaiting when it's all over? Because I get the sense from a lot of people that you feel like the 76ers are already done. Even if, and I know to some people this is still a big if, they rally to be a play-in tournament team. Even if they make the playoffs. The Sixers are not going to raise anybody's eyebrows until they get into the Eastern Conference Finals. That's when I think people might go, oh, something different. And I'm not saying that everyone should be doing cartwheels over making the Eastern Conference Finals, making it out of the second round of the playoffs, because like maybe 3-4 years ago, that was the thing. That's where that would be the normal projection. Oh, wow, the Sixers team made the playoffs. Oh, wow, the Sixers team made the second round of the playoffs. Oh, they got bounced out in the first round. Oh, they made the second round. Oh, they got bounced out in the first. Oh, they made the second and got bounced out. Oh, they made the second again, got bounced out. Oh, they made the first round of the playoffs and got bounced out. Like, that would be the norm. Like, the projection for younger guys like, good God, Ben Simmons. That would be a projection for an acquisition like Tobias Harris. That would be the projection for a MVP candidate like Joel Embiid. But they have never gotten back to the same type of confidence of a game 7 of the second round of the playoffs. They haven't been back to the Eastern Conference, as we all know, and don't need the history lesson, but just to reiterate, they haven't been even in the Eastern Conference Finals since Iverson. They haven't been in the finals since Iverson. So the idea with this group of players, especially with Joel Embiid, that just make it out of the second round of the playoffs. No. Whoever is doing that is way late to the party. Because that was the goal when Joel Embiid was maybe like 26. Now he's going to be 31. Like, it's championship. But I'm just saying, the thing that might raise some people's eyebrows, that might get some attention, is actually watching the Sixers in an Eastern Conference final. That might get their attention. I'm not saying it'll be the metaphorical parade in people's minds or anything. But until they get to that point, I just get this sense from the Sixers fan base that they don't care. Yeah, they'll check the standings. They'll follow the team. But in terms of moving the needle, as they say, nah. You're not watching the games as intently. Maybe you're doing other things while you're watching it. Just a question. Hit me up in the chat. Do you even care? It's a legit question. I think the third injury of the season to Joel Embiid, and we're not even in mid-January yet, I think that also has turned some people off. The struggling of Paul George certainly has turned some people off. Seeing a guy that looks like he's going to be Rookie of the Year, Jared McCain, all of a sudden being out, and from what I understand, hinted at being done for the season after getting his Rookie of the Month honors. I just get this sense that apathy is set in with the 76ers. And it seems like the most people have talked about it is about an arena more so than actually playing the game. And actually people using that as a needling point, if you will. Oh, that arena is going to be packed when it's just Tyrese Maxey. Yeah. So this is a legit question. Has apathy set in for you regarding this? Like, what would make you really pay attention other than the Eagles season being over? what would really make you pay attention? And hopefully the Eagles season isn't over for another month. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase. So if you want to go to a game, you want to go to a concert, you want to go to a comedy show, Game Time app has you covered. And now with Game Time Picks, oh man, get ready. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff. So when you sign on to the Game Time app, you hit the Game Time Picks feature, and that filters out all the fluff to just give you the best seats at the best possible prices. That's what you can do with Game Time Picks. There's also last-minute ticket deals, flash ticket deals. They even have ticket deals for an hour after the event starts on the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Also, let's say you want to go to a concert or a comedy show and you have those tickets available an hour after the event starts, you'll get mega huge savings after that. So take advantage of it all. Use promo code Farzy on the Game Time app. That's FARZY for $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Terms apply. What time is it? Game time. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. How about Sky Motorcars? SkyMotorcars.com. Check out Brett's amazing inventory at SkyMotorcars.com. I said I'd check it before I went to the chat check. And here it is. Eagles still at 4.5-point favorites. So today, this afternoon, we should be getting the estimated injury report which I still find hilarious that that's a thing. The estimated injury report, and we'll see if Jalen Hurts' name is on it. We'll also see. I think either way, his name's going to be on it. But we'll see if his name is on it, and we'll also see if his name is on it, what the injury is. Hopefully it doesn't say concussion anymore. Hopefully at worst it just says finger. Left finger. Let's get to the chat check and see how wonderful people are doing on this fine Wednesday morning already. Yesterday I felt like the week was dragging. Today I felt like, wow, it's Wednesday already? Funny how that works. Why not? I wonder if Farzi has a Fox hit so we can have recorded short show since they didn't let Barkley get hit. Since they didn't let Barkley get hit, is that what we're going to do now? Everything is the fault of, well, they didn't let Barkley get his. So, April. Morning, April. Maverick 1, have no idea why the Eagles are playing games with Jalen. I'm telling you, Nick Sirianni loves gamesmanship, man. Loves gamesmanship. But the fact that the most Jalen news that has come out in 3 weeks was from your coordinator, I find that interesting. Sean Kilrain, hello, good morning. James Alexander III, hello, good morning. Happy New Year, Happy New Year. I'm outside the week. It's the 8th. I'm out on the Happy New Year stuff. But I do appreciate the gesture. We have the Packers number. Watson isn't available. Yeah, he is done. Jair Alexander missing games. Prediction 31-28. Oh, that's not a comfortable win. That's not having the Packers number. If the line stays at 4.5, I'm gonna take that. Maybe even want to get in on that now before Jalen comes back. Thank you, James Alexander. I'm looking at Parks, by the way, right now. Jesse, excuse me. Hello, go Birds. Sean Kilrain. Here's the chances to win the Super Bowl. According to ESPN Football Power Index, what are the Eagles at? 8.4. Detroit, Baltimore at 13, KC at 12, Buffalo at 9.7, Philly at 8.4. Thoughts? Right where I want them. When I saw 8.4, I didn't see that I saw that the Lions were at 25.8, and then I didn't see anybody else. And I went, oh, the Lions are heavy favorites in this category. Shocker. Yeah, I think the Eagles not having Jalen Hurts at the end of the year and the Eagles losing, obviously, to the Commanders, that I think has their reputation take a bit of a hit. But that's right where I want them. James Alexander, the Jaguars should have fired the general manager instead of Doug Peterson. I would agree with that. Eric, what's going on? Mishkov played great last night. He just couldn't get a goal or an assist. I saw him. Was it him and Lawton that collided? And then Lawton gave him a kiss on the on the helmet, which is hilarious. Scott, what's going on? We are talking about football, real sport. Is that how you said that? Or typed it? Tate, hello. Imagine Jerry Jones setting the example. Right? Eric, he mentioned the Flyers. Eric, is Hurts cleared to play? Not yet. So I was so happy yesterday when I saw the Ian Book report that he was book report. Gee, I did it again. The Ian Book announcement, if you will. I was so happy to see it. I went, oh, thank God. I even put out the old Denzel Washington, like, that gif, you know? And then I, of course, let the negativity in my brain creep in, where I immediately thought, wait a minute. What if this is just to sign a better backup quarterback? Because Kenny Pickett's probably not going to be ready. So you might have Tanner McKee, and it's still not Jalen Hurts, and then they sign a better quarterback. How old's Vinny Testaverde now? Sorry, he's the guy I think of when I think of like random late signing quarterbacks. He was like 43 when the Panthers signed him or something like that. Bet you didn't have Vinny Testaverde on your bingo card. Bet you didn't have Alex Singleton on your bingo card today, folks. Anyway, enough of that. Alexander Harris, hello. Oh my God, we're finding something to complain about again. It's amazing how this team is 14-2 in the playoffs, but hey, let's find some BS to talk about. What did I complain about? What did I complain about? Well, I didn't even think I complained about anything today. My boy Fart. What's up, Penn? Pay Baun. I could see him playing well with Vic for years to come if he wants to stay. I'm with you. Can't wait for the playoffs yet. Terry, neither can I. Spurgeon King, I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked. Farzy, are you buying this season with the Sixers? I just think I think it's completely over. Almost as if we scared to rip the bandage off. To rip the bandage of who is Embiid. It's time to move on. Oh, I see you now. I see your correction. Okay. I put it like this. I was taking calls on Joel Embiid 2 years ago. Like, I wasn't pushing him out the door, but I was like, he's banged up, older, huge, and usually those don't mean, that means that like in your 30s, you're not going to have a great career. And we've already seen that he's repeatedly, like, I don't want to go through the whole history lesson, but foot injury right out of college, back injury out of college. Foot injury kept him out, though, for the 2 years. Then it was gastroenteritis it was the meniscus tear, his rookie campaign. That was too acute for Brian Colangelo to say anything. There was a meniscus tear. Hold on. There, this is a more representative Brian Colangelo. There was a meniscus tear, but it was too acute to say anything. Then don't tell me that's not an acute. Don't tell me that's not a. Let me flip the collar down. For the people on the podcast who represent high collars, I flipped my collar up, or as they said in my late youth, popped my collar. All right. I don't. So the meniscus tear, the gastroenteritis, the broken face, concussion, finger. The whole shebang, the inability to deal with Ben Simmons. Don't blame him for that one. Yeah, it's always something. Always something with JoJo. Always something. Another meniscus. So after like a number of years of that, and realizing he's not going to get any better or healthier as the year goes on, and they still signed him to a 5-year contract extension, is just bonkers to me. So yeah, if you're talking about ripping off a Band-Aid, I would say this would be the last year. But they signed him to a big deal that I don't think anybody else is going to take. They're going to have to eat a lot of money on that Joel Embiid deal. $193 million? Yeah. Thank you, Bull. Sean Kilray, no, not one bit do I care. 49ers 25. What's up, brother? Hello. Oh, yeah, the 49ers. You guys are in need of a DC now. How about that? So they fired Sorensen, but they want to keep him on the staff somehow? Huh? And you stay away from Clint Hurt, bro. I don't want any changes. Serious. Personally, I'm not a fan of basketball. I watched a pro game in high school. Okay. Our construction class took a trip to help with the New Orleans Katrina cleanup. 16-hour bus ride. Wow. Wait, 49ers, wine, Niners, wine. He's saying we don't have a right to complain about our team. No, you absolutely have a complaint. You have a right to complain about your team, sure. Every team whines about their team. Buddy Christ. What's up, Buddy Christ? Nice to see you. Eric, Tanner Foles 2.0. Let's go. KC Thackett, what's going on? Hello. Godfrey Wilson, Tulsa, Oklahoma via West Philadelphia. Good morning. City of brotherly love and Eagles. You're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Godfrey? I've never been to Oklahoma. Dirty D. Interesting. I think we have a chance to go all the way. I just hoping the passing looks as good as it did in week 17 and 18. Yeah, I'm with you there, man. So, like, here's the the rust factor. Yesterday, Kellen Moore was asked about rust with Jalen Hurts. You can't convince me that rust is nothing in this scenario. And if the Panthers game never happened, where they were that bad in the passing game, and A.J. Brown, talking about complaining, talking about how the passing game, and he was asked what needs work, and he said the passing game. And Jalen Hurts was so off in that game. And it wasn't just that. Like, if you went back and watched the film, which I did, and we did a whole study on it, the wide receivers, quarterback, offensive line, everything went to hell in a handbag in that game. So it wasn't just Jalen being inaccurate. It was Devontae Smith not being on the same page as his quarterback, despite his quarterback trying to signal for him where to be. The offensive line, Jordan Mailata literally said, we didn't know what some of the plays were. How does that happen in a home game? It's not like you're unable to hear your quarterback. It was Jalen rolling out of the pocket and, oh my God, in some instances rolling to a side of the field where nobody was. Jalen trying to escape pressure and his receivers breaking away from him as opposed to with him. Made no sense. Everything was discombobulated in that game. And I don't remember the reporter's name. I didn't know the reporter's name that asked the question, but the word they used was atrophy. How do you make sure that your passing game doesn't atrophy when you're having so much success in the run game? And I thought that was the perfect word for it, because in that Panthers game, that's exactly what it looked like. It looked like, guys, we're not in sync. It looked like we haven't done this before. Now we don't know how to do it. And then they bounce back against the Steelers, and Jalen Hurts has the, is that what y'all wanted to see? Yeah, that's what we wanted to see. So now you have one good game under your belt since that game against the Panthers. And then Jalen Hurts has only thrown 4 passes with 1 completion in the last 3 weeks. And you expect me to just, he starts the playoffs and everything's just hunky-dory after a game like that against the Panthers so recently? Just, look, I still have confidence the Eagles are going to win the game. But they're going to need that passing game, too, in the playoffs. So I think they could get by the Packers on just doing what they've been doing all year for the most part, which is focusing on the run. But they're going to need Jalen to be throwing some footballs, too. And when your passing game has been as stagnant so recently, they got on the same page against the Steelers. Yeah, and then you saw 4 passes from your starting quarterback. They're going to need that. They're going to need that later. K. Raleigh, what's up, Dirty? The Eagles have a good enough chance as anyone. I agree. Just got to hit on all cylinders, and no one is beating them. I agree. Godfrey, hello again. Oh, Sean invited me on the podcast Monday. What is Monday? This is how you ask me to come on your podcast, by the way. Just hit me up in the chat. Bing, bang, boom. Was Monday the 13th? Yeah, I think I can do that. Yeah, I can do that, Sean. Hit me up. More timing than rust to be picky. I think we're saying the same thing. April. Oh, we're popping collars? Damn right we're popping collars. I rewatched, Andrew, week 1. Yeah, I didn't watch the entire game yet. I watched the extended highlights, and it just for people who were like, you're being over dramatic. My take going into the game was there's never been more pressure on a week one game than that game, and people were like, it's over dramatic, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, let's see how it plays out. So first series, he throws an interception down the middle of the field. It's like all the same problems as last year. Jalen Hurts going to be fine, I assume that means. Great, I hope so. Brian, hello. Good morning. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. Let's get to the Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motor Cars. SkyMotorCars.com. Line still at 4.5. Eagles still at 4.5. 4.5-point favorites at home against the Green Bay Packers for round 1 of the postseason. Your 76er, we'll find out more about Jalen Hurts today. What would be crushing is if, like, around noon today, we see a tweet from the Eagles like, the Eagles have signed some quarterback who hasn't played in 20 years, whatever. Another quarterback. We don't want to, I don't need to see that. Daniel Jones got picked up yesterday. Is that the Vikings? Who the hell picked up Daniel Jones? I'm blanking right now. But he got picked up. Whatever. But the boop. Oh, Sixers back at it tonight, 7 o'clock against the Wizards. No Joel Embiid. No Paul George. So that's the way that one works. And your Philadelphia Flyers will look to bounce back from 3 straight losses tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, as they host the Dallas Stars. Flyers now 17, 19, and 5 on the season. There we go. Ooh, Godfrey waiting for the Eagles line to go down to 3.5. That's where it opened. That's the wrong direction. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great. Thanks everyone watching. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Farzy Show YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Jacob Media YouTube channel. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel as well, where yours truly gets you, winds you down after every Sixers game. Yeah, that's right. I'm watching every game. So make sure you check me out there on Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. And make sure you check out and like and subscribe to the Seth Joyner Show YouTube channel for all your Eagles pre- and post-game needs as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My name is Mark Barzetta. I'll be back with you guys tonight on Locked On Sports Philadelphia after a riveting 76ers game.